I do want to start this episode off by saying I am no longer hungover. I actually planned to do this episode yesterday, but guys, it was so bad for me that I had to say, oh, stop the presses. I can't get in front of a camera looking this bad. Like, I was grey in the face, I was shaky, I had a little bit of a headache. Baby, she was hungover, like she was hanging and I'm just such a corporate baddie. I'm such a business baddie, businesswoman that is, that I was like, I've got to power through this. But baby, sometimes you have to take that break and that break is sacred. So now it's the next day post hangover, feeling a little bit shaky, feeling a little bit, sensitive and a little bit fragile. So please handle with care and approach with caution, guys, seriously. But instead of planning a whole episode, I decided I'm just going to do a big fat catch up because I feel like this season's been lacking a little bit of fun, a little bit of a giggle. I feel like a lot of the episodes have been like, oh my God, I've been going through a breakup and I'm really depressed. I don't know what my life looks like anymore, which is so ridiculous because the breakup that I went through was nothing and it wasn't even a breakup like at all. So I think this is like my recalibrating episode. And I think maybe each season we need to do one of these. Sometimes I think I just take myself a little bit too seriously and I need to remember that there's fun to be had. So here I am, a little bit sensitive, a little bit, hungover. Like we don't have the brain power right now to be coming up with a thesis on why I'm a bad person. I'll get into that in a second. But we do have the thesis for a big fat sexy catch up, which I feel like I haven't been doing enough of. So here we are, a big fat sexy catch up for the kitten eaters. Welcome back to Self Interrupted. I am Kit Costello. I'm your host. Normally, an episode would start with a catch up of the week and then we'd go straight into the topic. Baby, today it's just one big fat catch up. So if you've joined the KCCU, the Kit Costello Cinematic Universe, on this episode, this is somewhat of a special. No, it is. It's like a landmark. It's a checkpoint in the season. Like I said, it's a recalibrating episode. So instead of doing a catch up and then the topic of the week, we're just going to be doing one big catch up this week, which I personally love in podcasts. I love when someone just chats. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be answering a couple of questions I've asked myself, which sounds really sad now I've just said that out loud. So I went ahead and asked myself some questions, guys. So guys, I am sitting in a spare bedroom in one of the houses on the farm and I am going to go ahead and ask myself some questions. Is that what you guys came to this podcast for me to ask myself some questions? Well, yes. But let's get into the catch-up of the week and the episode of the week, which is one big catch-up. Let's get into it. Okay, first off, if you're watching the video episode and if you're listening to the podcast, do I give off like a hungover chic vibes? And I need the honest answer because guys, I'm sitting here in my glasses. It's so hungover chic. My hair's down. She's not styled. Hungover chic. It's giving like, ugh. I just woke up somewhere. I don't know where I am. I am also sitting on the floor of a bedroom on the farm. And when I tell you that this bedroom is a little bit worse for wear, the walls are quite frankly, I'm not even kidding, breaking apart. Like there's plaster on the floors because they're thinking of redoing this room. It's probably for the best because it looks an absolute state. But this is what I'm sitting in. And it's actually kind of like a visual representation of me, Kit Costello, at this point being a little bit hungover. But yeah, I'm also wearing like a little white tee and it's a little bit see-through so you can see my Calvin Klein bra showing through it, which is always a little bit special. There's always something a little bit like, a little about that. But yeah, I am also wearing my ballet flats, my favorite, guys. I have these like checkered gingham black and white ballet flats from Vinted. They were £3. They are my favorite purchase ever. Guys, I love a ballet flat. Like bring back the ballet flat. I think they already have been brought back, but they're so gorgeous. And I'm not talking about, because I have the classic like the Mary Jane give, but I also just love like a random color of a ballet flat, like make that the centerpiece of your outfit, your shoe. Because I'm one for just like a basic outfit at the moment. It's kind of my favorite thing. Like I'm wearing right now just like just not a black top, it's a white top, right? A white top, some black jeans, and some black and white gingham ballet flats. Like it's a bit special. And my glasses, of course. And it's giving chic, right? What isn't giving chic are my hives. Hi guys, who had hives here? Hands up, who knows what hives are? Because seems like not a lot of people know what hives are. I didn't. I've been having hives for the past week. Oh. So if you were listening to last week's episode, You may have noticed in the catch up of the week, I was like, oh, guys, I woke up with hives this morning. Some like rash on my stomach, on my legs, on my hands. I don't know what that was. It went downhill after that. Like, I'm not even kidding. The next day I had to go to the doctors. Like, imagine me putting out a new episode of Self Interrupted, like the saint I am, then having to rush off to the doctors because I didn't know what was happening in my body. Like, I literally had hives, like raised hives all over my legs, all over my arms, all over my neck and my ears. And they were like, oh, we don't know what this is. I was like, huh? They're like, oh, they might just go away. But sometimes with hives, we just don't know the cause of them. You don't know the cause of why I'm having rashes every day. But like, it's so specific with the hives that I have. So hives are produced by a mass amount of histamine in your body, and histamine is released for your body to defend itself from something. God, I don't know. Okay, I don't know what the give is, but it's gonna piss me off. Basically, these hives would just generate randomly like 8 a.m. every morning for like the past week. And then they just go after like 2 hours. But these hives would just like stay on my person. Because imagine me watching the finale of Sex and the City and then looking down and having hives. The past couple of days, they've been going down a little bit. And this is snaps, like snaps for the hives going down. Because I think if I had to live with hives, it wouldn't be a good life for me. No, I wouldn't be inspiring. I wouldn't be an inspiring person with hives. I can only apologize to the queens that maybe have hives listen to this podcast and this episode, but you know, all the love to you. No shade, don't bring that energy my way. No, I'm serious, guys. I don't need it. I don't need it. I was so depressed. Like, it was something because I had been to the doctors previously for another personal matter, and I was like, this is all I can take. This is all I can take. And then bang, I was hit with hives. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. And I was just like starting to get back on the road. You know, when you kind of have like a bit of an ailment and you went to the doctors and they said, you know, you're fine. And you have a whole new lease of life and you're like, oh, I feel like I can do anything. Struck with hives. It's like, I feel like I've been cursed. Like, there's something about me that thinks like the guy I was dating maybe hired like an Etsy witch against me. And that's why I've been having hives for the past week. There's something about it, but I had to go a bit woo woo. And I will say, because sometimes you gotta, when all of the medicinal purposes aren't working, you've taken the medicine, you've taken the creams, you've taken the ointments, you've taken the antihistamines, and it's still not working. You've got to then go woo woo. You've got to then go onto TikTok and find some witch that's going to repel the spell that maybe your ex put on you. Okay, so I went ahead and I did that, and I found out that all you have to say is, I don't want this energy. This energy isn't for me. Baby, you keep that energy. Any energy that you've given to me that's negative, I send it back to you trifolds. Well, I don't really like that though, because I don't like the idea of giving anyone bad energy, even people that I don't like, because I think that's bad karma. So I'd rather just say, this isn't for me. And you know what, baby, you can keep that bad energy for yourself. And I will say the hives have started to go down. They have, because I was having the hives badly at mine. And it was actually the morning of a shoot that I went to Emma's house for. Okay, so I went to Emma's house and it was a queen out with the usual girls that do a photo shoot together, which is Hanifa, photographer, Emma, whose project we were shooting for, and me, who was the assistant. Now, for our personal projects, it's pretty common practice at this point for Hanifa, our close friend, to be the photographer, and whosever project it is, either Emma or I will be the assistant for the person who is the star of that day. So for example, Emma was the star of her shoot, I was the assistant. And now as someone that's the assistant, I take my role very seriously. Like, I love being an assistant because on those kind of shoots, really there's not much to do except for just give moral support and get BTS content. But also there's just like a lack of pressure. It's like, oh, this isn't my project. Because sometimes when I have to do like a personal shoot, say for like the podcast for Self Interrupted, and I do my key art photo shoot, I'm so stressed. There's so many things that could go wrong. But when that's not my give, I don't have to worry about things going wrong because it's not my project. So I'm just giving the best vibes that I possibly can. And it was really fun. I always just, you know what I love? I love being around my friends that are creative and that have projects that they're working on, because I find it very inspiring. And I always come away from those days with my friends thinking, damn, I could do so much with my life and with my career and with my projects, because look at what my friends are doing. They inspire me so much. So I'm very lucky to be having my friends. On that day, actually, Hanifa and I went out on a little snack hunt. It was around lunchtime. we had done a bit of shooting and it was time for the girls to go and find some snacks. And I'll tell you what we picked up. We went to Harvest, which is a very how you say bougie. It's bougie. Bougie, but I love saying words in different ways. Bougie. It's a bougie place. Harvest, I would say, is the upper echelon of shops. I would say it goes further than Whole Foods. Like, it's, like, why is oat milk £5.50 there? Actually, that's a pretty good price for a Harvest oat milk drink. I would say it's actually £7 for like oat milk there. For ice cream, £7.50 easily. But I had to go into Harvest because I had to get my Forest Feast. And I have been talking about Forest Feast recently because I'm trying to get back in contact with those queens. If you don't know, Forest Feast and I had a little relationship. We had a little on and off fling. They sent me a PR package. I never got back in touch with them. They've held it against me ever since. Have they actually held it against me? Probably not. But it feels as though maybe they have because I did DM them and they didn't get back to me. I love reaching out to brands. Love it. One thing about me is that those 30,000 followers that I have on my main TikTok account, I will use to get some free products. Guys, I don't want to, you can call me the villain all you want. You do the same, okay? And I'm sure some of you that do have those followers do the same, okay? I'm DMing snack brands, and it's always the nichest brands. Like, I remember I DM'd True Fruit, which is basically again, another fruit confectionery brand. I DM'd them and I was like, guys, I love your stuff. And they sent me a massive PR box. So sometimes you just have to put the message out there and it's received well. But I did DM Forest Feast again and they didn't get back to me. So it does feel personal, but it doesn't stop me from going into Harvest and buying the peppermint chocolate almonds, which were £5.95, and I don't really want to talk about that. Something else I did buy was a drink called cereal oat milk, which tastes like cereal milk. And now, okay, so right. It was giving very like 2014. It was giving very New York. And I thought to myself, what's the harm in this? Probably the harm is that it's like 100 mils and it's £2.50, but we can look past. I got my little drink. I had a little sip and I said, oh, it really does. Right. It just tastes like cereal milk. I don't know what I was expecting. Like I was expecting something, something a little more special. But I was sitting opposite from Hanifa when we got back to the flat and I said, oh, and she said, oh, is it not nice? And I said, no, it's fine. I guess it just tastes like cereal milk. And she said, well, guess that's what it's meant to taste like, girl, because you just bought cereal milk. So there's something about it that felt like a bit of a scam, but also totally my fault. Like, I just think I fell for their scheme. They sold a product, I bought it. I complained about the product being exactly how it was marketed, but somehow it's their fault. Right. Literally a couple of days later, I was back at Emma's because it was Emma's birthday, but enough about Emma. Huge hive breakout. And I'm not talking Beyonce beehive. I'm talking the hives all over my damn body. Again, I was watching, what was I watching? I was watching Normal People on the TV, right? Then I had a hive breakout, double homicide. Girl, it was terrible. This hive breakout was the worst of all of them ever since. Luckily, the hives have kind of gone down now. Spoiler alert, they've kind of started going down. But these were the worst hives that I had in the hive story arc. It got to a point where it was 8 a.m. I was watching Normal People, a depressing scene in Normal People where they're sitting in the living room and Connell's going to go to New York and Mariam's like, you go and I'll stay. And I'm like, ugh, crying. Looking down at my thighs, literally looks like a volcanic eruption is going on. Like something's going on over my legs and I don't know what's happening. It was at that point where Connell and Mariam are now crying on my TV screen and I'm thinking about calling 999, getting in touch with the paramedic because I feel like I'm literally about to die. Can you imagine? I just die in my office while watching Normal People. Oh, what was her cause of death? Connell went to New York. Like, okay. Because the highs would have gone down by that point. So that's all they would have thought. I probably would have paused it on that point because I would have thought I need to call the ambulance. Can't have Normal People playing in the background. And then I would have probably like just died on the phone. Then they would have come in, seen Normal People on my TV and just been like, oh, that did it for her. That did it. But yes, like I said, it was Emma's birthday, the birthday extravaganza. I was staying at Emma's that weekend, so I knew going into London, it was going to be a good time because I love, at the moment, being away from the farm. And guys, you're growing tired of me talking about this damn ass farm. I know you are. You're like, Kit, why don't you move out? Oh, well, do you want to pay for my rent? Exactly. So let me complain about it real quick. After my highs went down, I got ready, got my bum on the train, got to Emma's. And I will say this weekend was giving girls who know that it's all going to be okay in their 20s. Like, there's something about, oh, guys, I just love a gathering. I love a gathering of friends. And whenever it's someone's birthday, I can always rely on them to bring together a group of friends. I don't have that many friends. I'm going to be real frank. I have about 5 friends. So a gathering for me is literally just like meeting up at a cafe. Emma has like a lot of friends. So there was a park situation. We couldn't all fit in one cafe. I just love going to a park, having some drinks, eating some cake, having pizza. Oh, guys, let me run you down this day. Okay, so picture it. We're in London Fields in London. Now, London Fields is in East London, and we got there, we sat down. It was a few of us to begin with, and it was one of those classic things where it was like, guys, just come when you can. You know, come to the fields when you can. We can all have a queen out. There were crisps. You know it's going to be a good time when there's crisps and dips. No, you do. And you also know it's going to be a good time because some of those friends have gone to those fancy corner stores, and they've bought those fancy crisps. You know the one, bitch. You know the ones that have those truffle crisps? Oh, the fancy hummus? Oh, don't get me started. Because, yeah, I'm not going to bring anything and I'm going to indulge. I'm sorry, I'm not. Like, not that I don't want to, but it's just like, I'm like, oh, I arrive at the place and I'm like, damn, I forgot to bring anything. Because sometimes when you're arriving with the party, you don't think. Because they're buying so many things. I'm like, oh, damn, I should have bought something to the function. All I bought was like a can of Pims. And I was like, great. Anyway, so we were all sitting down. We had a speaker on. It was playing Addison Rae. We were sitting in the middle of this park. It was hot. Summer's day. Alcohol was flowing. Crisps were flowing. Hummus was flowing. And it's just times like this where you're like, does it get better? Like, this is all I need. And I actually really mean that. Like, can you tell, like, my tone of voice is actually very serious right now? Like, I love these moments in my 20s. Like, I will always look back at moments like this. And it makes me sound really sad. And I will say, there were multiple times, like, throughout that, like, hangout where I was looking at people and I was like, this is so special. And I could tell that they were just like, God, what are you on? Like, what are you talking about? Because I think not living in London, it's not like classic vibes. Like, for me, it's not classic vibes yet to have, like, a pub hangout. Because I love a little pub hangout. Like, I'm sorry, I like a group of friends sitting around a table, drinking overpriced pints in the middle of London and just having a little giggle. Like, I love it. And on top of that, I love being in a park with my friends, eating crisps and dipping them into the dips. I'm talking tzatziki. I'm talking hummus. I'm talking truffle chips. I'm talking chipotle chips. Like, all of the chips, everything. Can you tell I didn't plan anything for this episode? I was like, I'm going to be hungover this episode. We can just talk about anything. And here I am talking about the selection of chips that I like to have with my dips. Right. Anyway, so we were sitting down and it was just like a general queen out. I love Emma's friends. They're also cool, inspired, creative. And they're just so nice. You know when you meet girls, okay, can I be real with you for a second? I came away from meeting Emma's friends and I was just like, I'm a terrible person. Not because I thought anything of them, but I was just like, these people are so nice. I just think default, I'm such an asshole. Like, I'm sorry. And I know that there's going to be people out there that relate to me. Like, I think sometimes I walk away from nice people and I'm just like, are you always nice? Like, are you just always a nice person? You know, does it ever get boring being so nice? It's just a crazy question to ask because I just think that I'm just like, I feel like my wiring is just to be a bitch. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I genuinely think it is. And I was going to do a full episode on this and I genuinely think I want to. It's the episode that I was going to do today if I wasn't hungover. And I believe it was going to be titled, Am I a Terrible Person? Because sometimes I do just walk away from those kind of situations and everyone is just so nice naturally. And I feel like I'm my natural reflex is just to kind of take the piss. And I don't think I want to take the piss out of someone in like, you know, a bad way. I don't want to be mean to them. But people's natural reflexes are just to be nice. And that, I guess I am a nice person, but there's just something in me that's like, I love taking the piss a little bit. And I also see people that are like so sickly sweet. I'm like, are they like that all the time? Or am I just a bitch? Do you know what I mean? Am I the one being real? Or are they also being real and that's just them? Are they just a nice person? But alas, Emma's friends are lovely. No surprise there because Emma's lovely and she attracts those kind of people. And saying that, if she attracts those kind of people, I must be lovely as well. Okay, yeah. Because I think sometimes I'm a bit hard on myself. Because I also walk away from those kind of situations if I'm going to be real. Not necessarily this one, but like I do walk away from situations maybe where I don't know the people 100%. And I'm like, oh, I'm not that cool. Like I'm not interesting. Like these people are so successful, specifically when maybe it's like I'm meeting friends of friends at a pub and I literally know no one there. Like I haven't even, like we have no mutuals, but they just happen to be there in that group hangout, maybe at a pub for example. And I'm like, oh my God, like these people are my age and they really do just like have a flat in London or they have multiple like business ventures and they have all of these cool, unique ideas. And I'm just like plodding along, you know? Obviously, I have my own little things here and there. And I always hear the coolest people say that they're not cool. So I don't want you to think that I don't think I'm cool because I know that, you know, I can be cool and I have really cool things and I do cool things like the podcast. I'm so proud of it. But I do walk away from those kind of group hangouts sometimes and I'm like, damn, I can't help but feel like I'm a little bit behind in life. And you know when like, ugh, this is so pessimistic, but you know when you meet up with people and you're like, I think I look really cool right now. And then you meet up with someone and they just look so effortless. And you're like, oh, I am nothing. This got really deep really quickly. But you know what I mean? I think in those kind of situations, you do have to just not deep it and also not hold people to a higher standard than you, because I can guarantee that they probably are thinking the same thing about you that you're thinking about them, like 100%, or they're just not thinking it. Because you know, I've been talking about being chic on this podcast quite a lot recently. I think the chicest thing to do is to not care about your outfit, to not care about your hair. And obviously we all baseline, bottom line care about the way that we look, but I think not overthinking your outfit is sexy as hell. And I did do a Substack on this and it was entitled Leave the Belt at Home. And I love that Substack so much. And yeah, it got 2 likes, one of them being me. And I am going to talk about it on here because you guys should be following my Substack. Top link in the description of this episode, guys. Tap in. But that essay I just really loved because it really was just about like trusting yourself, trusting your gut in all situations, even if it's just as frivolous as your fashion. You don't need the belt, bitch, leave it at home. You knew you didn't want that belt. Don't try and bring it in your bag just in case you want to wear it. How about you trust your opinion? And then if you're out and you're like, damn, this look could have used a belt, you go home after that function and next time you go out, you bring the belt with you. It's something you learn. I think we're just like there's so much option for us. And if we go out and we meet someone and they're wearing really cool clothes, then the first thing that I do, I'm like, okay, well, what are my options? How can I look cooler? What clothes can I buy to look cooler? It's like, no, bitch, what do you already have? Also, do you like the clothes that you're wearing? Did you feel secure? Because you felt secure before you went out and then you met that friend and now you feel insecure. So what is that? You know, them looking cool doesn't take away from your coolness. Because I think sometimes I kind of see people and I'm like, oh, I feel behind. You know, I feel behind. I feel like they've like found their style. I feel like they've found their person. They found their image. But I think a lot of the time they haven't. Because the coolest people I know, they've said to me recently, ugh, I feel like my wardrobe is so tired right now. And I'm like, you literally look like my Pinterest board. What are you talking about? Like, I wish I could have your clothes. So I think that bottom line, in conclusion to this little random essay about clothes jealousy, is that you always want what you can't have. And I think that the most beautiful thing And the most settling thing is that it's really chic to just not care. And it's chic to just, I love basics. Like in my clothing, I mean, this isn't an episode about fashion, but like, I just love like wearing basic things, but then having something a little bit silly. Like my outfit right now is just a basic white top, like I said, my black jeans, but then like some silly shoes. Something that kind of like a little bit of pop of personality. Like whatever happened to a pop of personality? Yeah, right. Right. Anyway, like I was saying, I was at Emma's birthday bash in the park. It was a Friday. It was a Friday in the park. And if you've been to London Fields, you know that there's a pub there called Pub on the Park. Very apt name because it's literally a pub, guys. It's on the park. Right. You know that a man came up with that name. No shade. And it's no shade. Of course it's no shade. Pub on the Park. And Pub in the Park is special because it's the only place near that park where there's toilets. So I don't think that's true. I think I just made that up. But I really wanted to glaze over that because I didn't want to have to say that I was wrong. And I also just didn't want to like add, you know, maybe there are more toilets near the park, because it doesn't, the storyline now feels a bit jolted. I feel like you just interrupted me for the sake of me fact checking myself, and I'd rather you didn't do that in the future. So, you know, no, it's just something to think of, you know. Anyway, back to what I was saying before I was really interrupted by you guys. Pub on the Park, there are toilets there. So me being me and me drinking quite a lot that evening, and I'm going to say it was alcohol. It sure was. What did you drink here? Oh, thank you so much for asking. So I had 2 cans of Pimm's, 2 Guinnesses, and 2 Aperol Spritz. Right. I was a little bit plastered. And I didn't want to say it to anyone that I was plastered. My friend Eden was sitting next to me, and there were a couple of times that I looked her dead in the eyes, which is what I love to do when I'm drunk. I love to like find someone that I'm close to, look them dead in the eyes and just say, I'm drunk. And then just see how they react. And Eden, of course, was just like giggling. But we went to the pub, which was rammed. It was a Friday night and it was full of like performative men. I have never seen more performative men in my life. And bless the performative men. Like, you know what? I do feel sorry for you. Clap if you care. I do care a little bit because like they're not catching a break. Bless their hearts. They just want they want to perform a little bit, but now they're being clocked. They can't enjoy a matcha. They can't have a book in their back pocket, and they can't listen to Clairo without being called out. But if you didn't treat women specifically badly, we wouldn't have a problem then, would we? But why is it always the performative men that don't know how to perform correctly in relationships? Ooh, you know? Have you ever thought about that? Right. Anyway, I went to the pub, used the toilets. While I was in the toilet cubicle, someone had written on the wall, I'm going to tell him that I love him tonight. And they had marked the date that they were going to tell him that they loved him. Actually, I don't mean to assume. It was the women's toilets, but they could have been saying that to a woman. No. So like I said, they did write on the wall, I'm going to tell him that I love him tonight. And then I was being like overly woke. I was like, wait, I can't assume pronouns, even though I literally just said right. See, and that's me trying to care. But yeah, I thought that was a really sweet message. And I did take a little picture of it because I was like, this is special. Like, this is someone's history. I wonder if they've been back to that pub and how that went. Like, I want updates, you know? Anyway, when I came out of the pub, it was dark out, walking through the park with my friends, sat back with everyone in the group. And it was just like pitch black, London Fields. A guy was walking around trying to sell balloons to us. And we were like, guys, not right now. Maybe not right now. Selling balloons to a bunch of like 20-year-olds, some pushing 30. It gets to a point where like, I don't want to drug shame. If you're doing balloons at the age of like pushing 30, like none of my friends bought them, obviously. But like, yeah, you know, sure. Whatever floats your boat, girl. But like balloons? Anyway, so it then got to around like 9:30. And guys, guess who's knocking on my door? The hives, right? The hives were back. But the hives weren't on my legs like they were before. They were all over my eyes. And they were all over my so they weren't on my legs, like I just said. They were all over my eyes and they were behind my ears. And then Emma was like, oh, let's walk to a pub because it's a bit too dark. So we went to a pub. We sat down in the pub for a bit. My eyes burning at this point. Like something's happening. Feels like I've just put a bunch of cayenne pepper and paprika on my eyes and rubbed it in, because why wouldn't I do that? Then after about half an hour in this pub, which was lovely, we walked back to the Emma's flats, because famously Emma has a flatmate called Emma. And it was just me and the Emmas in this flat. And one of the Emmas had gluten-free vegan cookies that she put in the air fryer when we came back. It was literally like 11:30 at night. Give it up for that queen. Like, give it up for Emma. We were now on the sofa eating cookies at like 12 o'clock at night. And I literally said out loud, maybe I was a little bit tipsy, but also I hope it was appreciated by the girls. I said, this is a moment. Like, this is a moment in my 20s that I will remember. And I know that sounds so silly. And guys, can I be really frank with you for a second? Can I just be really vulnerable and honest? There have been times where I've been so meta in those kind of moments where, especially on like a date, for example, I don't think I said this to the guy that I was dating, but I really wanted to at one point when we were dating and we were in a pub. I remember I really wanted to turn to him and just be like, this is really bad. And I wouldn't have said this to him. But there was something in me that wanted to say to him, like, we're not going to be dating in the future. Okay, this is really bad. But like, I knew that he wasn't going to marry me, right? But I knew that he wanted to get married, okay? I knew that he wanted kids. That wasn't my give. But I knew that like, we were dating in that moment, right? I wanted to turn to him and be like, you're not going to marry me. We're not going to have kids. But like, this is a moment, like, there's something about this moment in our 20s that we're a little bit of each other's history. And I know that sounds so silly, and it's such a, you know, if he does go on to get married and have kids, he will not remember me. And I'm not saying this to kind of like romanticize what we had, but it's kind of like anyone that's in your life. In your 20s, it's like you never know where you're going to be in like 20 years time, but you're in the moment with them now. And I think there's something so special about that. And I use the guy I was dating as an example because obviously that's not a thing anymore. But with my friends, you know, I hope to be friends with them for my whole life. But say we're not friends for our whole life, I'm going to be that friend in their history that randomly ate cookies with them in their flat in their 20s. Do you know what I mean? It gets really meta for me sometimes when I'm a bit drunk. But those are the things that I think of. And I really love when I get into that kind of like meta space in my head, because it reminds me that like I'm living my history right now. Like I'm living the chapters of my life that I know that I'll look back on and think, oh my God, there was that time where I was with my friends, my Emmas. I was in their flat eating cookies. And now we're older and we get to reminisce about those moments. Or there was that time where I was dating that boy in my 20s and I cried over him, but now I'm happily married. Like, you know, that there are these moments that you'll look back on, and I just find those moments like very sweet, and I'm so acutely aware of them in the moment. Like I'm so hyper aware of, I believe it's called premature nostalgia, where you feel nostalgic for a moment that you're currently living. I get so nostalgic for the moments that I live in because I know that I'm going to miss them. Casey Musgraves famously once said, is there a word for the way that I'm feeling tonight? Happy and sad at the same time. You got me smiling with tears in my eyes. I've never felt so alive. No, I've never felt this far off the ground. But everything that goes up must come down. Like every happy moment is going to be hit with another sad moment. Honestly, that's something I really need to work on, because I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. But sometimes, Kitinators, there is not another shoe. And we need to remember that, because I think sometimes I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to self-sabotaging, relationships, opportunities, etc. I'm like, oh, this is really good for now, but what's going to happen? Like, if this is happening, it kind of feeds into my OCD as well. It's really bad. Like, if my life is going really well, if I've got a couple of job opportunities that are really good and like my friendships are really good, I'm like, what's going to happen? Something's going to happen. You know, and I wonder why I get hives. Because hives can be induced by stress. Me sitting in my room being like, why am I getting hives right now? Oh, maybe it's because I'm having a good time in my life and I'm just waiting for something bad to happen. And I'm stressing myself out for no reason. Like, maybe that's why. Anyway, I Aside from my bittersweet nostalgia, I then woke up from the night before and I wasn't hungover too badly. I know you're thinking, Kit, was that what you were hungover from? Well, no. We'll get on to what I was hungover from in a second, right? That morning, Emma and I had made plans. Emma's flatmate, Emma, and I had made plans to go to a gluten-free cafe called Rice to Meet You. Yes, the puns are fabulous. It's a gluten-free cafe. All the products are made with rice flour and they have a banana bread which is special. Now guys, if you live in the London area and you are gluten-free/vegan, tap into Miss Rice to Meet You. Emma and I, and again, it was one of those moments where I was like, this is something I'll remember. We walked there at like 9 a.m, got a slice of banana bread, got it toasted, which you can get it toasted there, special. I had a black Americano, classic KC movements. Sat down at the table. Emma and I just had a little gossip. Special. Like, that's when I was like, this is a London moment. Like, I have those moments where I look back and I'm like, ooh, a London moment, like a London girl moment. When I don't want to move to London yet because I want to be rich. I'm sorry, I do. I want to move to London when I have a lot of money. I don't want to live, and it's a huge privilege, okay? And I'm nowhere near that at all at the moment. At this point, I'm not moving to London because I want to move to London where I can do things like this. Like, I can go to a cafe and spend like £10 on a slice of banana bread and a coffee and not have to pay rent. Like, the lucky thing about me living at home, and it's a massive privilege, is that I don't have to pay rent and I can go and stay with my friends and have a little queen out in London, but then come back to the farm and not pay rent. So we had our slice of banana bread, queened out there. Then Emma wanted another drink. So we went to another cafe called Dead Good Coffee. Now, this is a call out. This is a call out to anyone that works at Dead Good Coffee. Dead Good Coffee, you have a barista there and he is gorgeous. And I will say, I felt flirty vibes. It was 9 a.m. I was a little bit #hungover, not terribly. Famously not as hungover as yesterday, but we'll get to that in a second. But I was a little bit hungover and I wasn't ordering a coffee. So Emma was the only one speaking, but then the barista was talking to me. He was making an effort. Like, oh my God, the bar is like technically in hell, on the floor, in the ground. Like, she's buried 6 feet under, but he was asking me questions. He was. And he was asking Emma what she's doing with her day. And Emma was like, well, I'm going to Pilates, of course. And then he was like, well, what are you doing with your day? And I was like, oh, not much. Like, I live on a farm. Classic, like icebreaker. Like, I live on a farm. Didn't even ask me where I live, but I was like, I live on a farm. Like, probably going to go back to the farm and I think I have a family barbecue later. And he was like, oh, I could really do with a barbecue. And I was like, well, you're always welcome over. And it was just a little, like, it was a moment and I couldn't tell if we were flirting. But then I left and we got back to the apartment and Emma said to me, oh, he was definitely flirting with you. And then I was like, oh my God, I need to find this man. And then she was like, yeah, I thought you were decentering men. And I was like, oh no, the men that were already in my life. No one said anything about the new men that I bring into my life, you know. I'm happy to send to them. Anyway, I would be lying to you guys if I said that I didn't do a little Instagram stalk of Dead Good Coffee because I was trying to find him, didn't find him. So if you work at Dead Good Coffee, if you know anyone that works at Dead Good Coffee, send them there. I'm serious, guys. Send it high and low. I'm searching for this man. This is giving very Travis Kelce when he wanted to date Taylor Swift. Like, yeah, I'm willing to give you a friendship bracelet in return of your love. I think that's a pretty fair exchange. But yeah, if you work at Dead Good Coffee, please do let that queen know that I have a huge crush on him. I don't remember what he looks like at all. I just know the vibes were good. And honestly, in this dating market, it's all you can ask for. Right. I then left the Emmas and it was time for a pretty fabulous moment in my day that day, which was going for a big fat walk to my regular cafe. I had my noise cancelling headphones on. I popped into Beyond Retro. I was listening to some good music, doing a bit of vintage shopping. I might have seen the guy I was dating's cousin in there, and we did not say hi. We had to simply brush past and I left. I just said, no, not right now, queen, not right now. I'm in good spirits. So then I went for an even longer walk. I went to my regular cafe. I saw them. I went to Muji. I got a couple of new notebooks. I went into my regular cafe, got a salad because I started doing salad now. I got my black Americano and I was just queening out. Guys, you don't even understand the queen out that I did that day. Like, it was special. Like, there was something in the air. Like, I love no commitments in London, noise cancelling headphones, walking around, hot people on site, just nothing to do. Love it. I love doing nothing. I wrote in a Substack recently, I think I'm a pretty boring person. I think I'm quite mundane. I love being boring. I love being probably the most boring out of my friends. I don't think I'm actually that interesting. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. Non-derog. I really don't think I'm that much of an interesting person, but I think there's beauty in that. Then I came back to the farm and I've been queening out on the farm ever since. That then leads us to the weekend, and guys, I treated myself. I did. Hands up, who knows what a Paper Republic journal is? I bought a Paper Republic journal for myself, guys. It's special. Now, Kit, what's a Paper Republic journal? I hear you cry. I got the Grand Voyager, and it's basically a holder. It holds all of your journals together, because famously I went to Muji recently and I got a couple new journals. So I bought myself a Paper Republic journal, and I'm very excited. I just got the classic black with a red ribbon, and I'm going to put all my journals in it, and I'm so ready to queen out. I'm so ready to queen out. And I will say, I also got £20 off. You know when you look up discount codes? When you're on, you're checking out on your website that you're buying something from, and they're like, oh, do you have any discount codes? And you're like, oh, no, I don't. Let me look up online real quick. And you scan through all of their discounts codes. You put them in. Sorry, this isn't available. Sorry, this is out of date. Sorry, this, that, and the third. First discount code I put into Paper Republic, I got £20 off. So special. And it was one of those moments where I was like, this was meant to be. That's one of the exciting things that happened this weekend. Second exciting thing is that we had a family barbecue. Soft launched the family barbecue earlier in this episode when I talked about me saying that to the barista, hot barista man. I did mention to him that I was having a family barbecue and that he was welcome over, which is so classic vibes from me. And yeah, had a family barbecue. Since I've started drinking, I have loved getting a little bit tipsy at these family barbecues, specifically with my brother's girlfriends. Like, we love to get a little bit tipsy together. Love it. I was having wine. I was having some beers. I have now started to become, because famously there was a moment in my life where I just wasn't going to any family events, but now I'm more comfortable in myself and my gender expression, etc. I feel like for a long time, me being transgender, it was like really a hindrance on no, I don't want to say that. That sounds a bit intense, but like, I didn't know who I was, and I felt like, I don't know. It felt quite. I felt kind of vulnerable, like being in front of like my family, and I don't know, being at family events, being transgender. It was like a whole thing because like they didn't necessarily know like what was going on with me, and I didn't, and it just felt a bit weird. But now, me and my family are in a space where like, everyone knows I'm transgender, and I'm like, exactly, work. So let's get drunk together, guys. That's naturally how that works. Yeah, now I'm kind of like life of the party vibes. I think much to like my family's chagrin, the kind of drunk I am, if you haven't had the pleasure of being drunk with Kit Costello, which not a lot of people have, to be frank, is I'm just like, yeah, like text him. Like, guys, let's have a fun time. Like, where's the next drink coming from? You know, that's very me coded. Like, I'm just very, let's have a giggle, which thank God I couldn't be a drunk that is like sad or like a bit sloppy. I don't think I'm a sloppy drunk. I am a talkative drunk though. Like, I will say things that I'm not meaning to say. Like, things will just come out of my mouth before I've even had time to process it in my brain, which in some way I kind of love, because sober me is so meticulous about the things that I say, specifically to my family. But what I love about getting drunk in front of my brothers specifically is like the insane law drops that I will give them. Like, my brothers know nothing about my personal life at all, but my brothers know about each other's because they're closer. So I will just be sitting around the table and I will like drop some insane law about someone I was dating or like a situation that happened at work. And they'll just be like, what is she talking about? Like, what is happening right now? But I just love it. Because then, like, we never talk about it again until we all get drunk again. But that is when I woke up the next day and I was like, oh, I'm hanging. Like, something's going on here. I'm a little bit too hungover. And that's actually the first time I've ever woken up with a hangover. But I didn't even drink that much. I think I had, like, maybe 3 beers and 2 glasses of wine. And then the next morning, I woke up and I had a headache. Like, I had a headache, felt shaky. And for some reason, I was still like, yeah, I'm going to record an episode of the podcast. We'll just title it, I'm Hungover, Please Be Gentle. Bitch, no. I tried to get in front of the camera and I was like, stop, stop, stop. Not right now. Not right now. So that's why I'm here today. Less hungover, but still a little bit cold sweat, shaky vibes. What's my day consisted of today? I hear you cry. Well, thank you so much for asking, kind listener slash viewer. Today I walked all the way to my local cafe. My local cafe being the one in London, my local being the one in my village. Please don't ever get those two twisted. The one in London are the people that do genuinely love me, and they kind of do feel like family to me. Like, I kind of feel like they would give me a kidney if needed. Like, I don't know, there's something special about them. Like, as soon as I walk in, they're getting my Americano ready. And I just don't think you really get that in a lot of places. And it's so mum and pops. Like, the cafe that I go to in London, it's so mum and pops vibes. But the cafe in my local in my village, it's a little more like, it's a little bit more like, it's not a chain, but it gives that. Like, it gives that chain vibe. But also, I will say, it does give Gilmore Girls vibes in the sense that it has fairy lights in the windows. So it's something worth celebrating. Anyway, I walked there today and I did some journaling. And I also tried to plan this episode, which I was going to do the episode on Am I a Terrible Person? And it quickly kind of spun into like a depressive episode in the cafe because I was like, wait, maybe I am. And I had to quickly get out of that cafe and do a food shop to kind of distract myself. And on my way home, I was like, I'm not a terrible person. I'm just a balanced person. And I think that's okay. You know, there are good parts of you and there are bad parts of you. And I think it's just important to let the good parts of you shine brighter than the bad parts. Anyway, I also watched, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, it's a 2.5 hour YouTube video and it's basically a Minecraft roleplay where there's a Minecraft world and 1,000 players are put into this Minecraft world and there's 2 islands. One of the islands is rich with materials and foods and the other island is lacking in those foods. So there's 500 players on each island and they basically have to build civilizations together and you just see if the islands go to war and they basically build a society. And it was put together so well, like, okay, are they going to get their Oscar at some point? But definitely tap into that if you haven't already. It's something called like, just type in Minecraft 1,000 people challenge and it will come up. It was very interesting. And one thing about me is that I'm not going to be able to watch an 1.5 hour film, but I will be able to watch 2.5 hours of people playing Minecraft. Like, I feel like that's just like inner child stuff that I don't really want to dive into right now. I believe that's kind of everything that's been going on. That's kind of the catch up of what's been happening. I hope you've enjoyed this more chatty episode. Let me know. Genuinely, please do. Guys, I feel like you're coming back to me. And it's not to say that you were never here, but I'm going to be real, Kitnators. There was a second there where I was like, is anyone here? Is anyone listening? Because I think you got a little bit too used to not saying hello to me. And one thing about me is that I do love a little bit of interaction. So a little hello, I love this week's episode. It's always appreciated. And I've been getting a lot of those from my regular Kitnators, and it's been appreciated. Thank God you're still here because I was getting a bit worried. It's always a bit awkward to think like, oh, did that OG just like leave me? Are they like not listening anymore? But I can confirm that all the OGs are still here. They are just so OG that they just don't feel the need to let me know that they're still here. But alas, thank you for listening to this week's episode. Let's get into the final of the week and the recommendation of the week. The vinyl of the week this week is Wishbone by Conan Gray. That should come to no surprise to anyone. I love this album a lot. I really love the song Connell on this album. I think it's beautiful. I also love Care and Vodka Cranberry, of course, An Actor, and also My World. Those are my favorites right now. That's the vinyl of the week. Recommendation of the week, Rice to Meet You Cafe in London. If you can't make your way to London to get the banana bread at Rice to Meet You, the gluten-free vegan banana bread, I would just say gluten-free snacks. And also, if you're not gluten-free, just tap into a gluten-free snack here and there, because I'm sure that you will enjoy. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Self-Interrupted with Kit Costello. If you did, please make sure to rate the podcast on Spotify and leave a written review on Apple Podcast. You can follow the podcast on Instagram and on TikTok at Self-Interrupted Pod. You can follow me personally at kit.costello on Instagram and on TikTok. You can follow the Substack at kitcostello/self-interrupted with Kit Costello. But other than that, I'm sending you so much love. As always, Kit.